Well, that does it for game number 2. On to game number 3. P's and B's, pretty please.
I'm expecting One Night of LAN to lean a little bit more towards the Sun Wukong yet again with how successful it was in game number 2. Forget the Vamana, like that didn't work out in game number 1. No Vamana. This time Passion losing game number 2, opts for second pick.
One Night at LAN going to ban out the Odin, as is kind of normal here in the SCL. Passion on the clock now, figuring out what to ban. And it'll be the Freya, just power meets power, so don't want her available. LAN on the clock one more time. And they're going to figure out what they want to ban. We've got another options. King Arthur, very prevalent here. It's going to be the Morrigan, though.
Interesting Morrigan ban, considering that I believe in game number 1, it was Keegan playing it in the dual lane role. So the fact that they were the ones banning it away leads me to believe that they were afraid of Passion picking that up, but I don't know if that's their style.
Well, with Morrigan banned and the Yanis banned, there's so much open. I mean, King Arthur is just a slap pick in my mind.
Oh yeah,
just pick Arthur.
There's no waiting around for the Arthur pick. Once that's available, you have to snap pick it. As One Night at LAN, we'll see how they do with it. We'll see if they're going to really snowball that lane.
So I guess we do have a little bit of a conversation about Arthur. He's high execution, but that's the thing. If you can play King Arthur, you can win the game with King Arthur. Now, when you're talking about your game at home, well, that's a little bit different. In your silver games that you're the watcher, right? In your silver games, well, you know, he might not be that good. In my gold games, he might not be that good. In Masters games, he's going to be that good. And in pro play, it's expected. So I don't see why you let him through. I think this is a mistake in the ban department.
I think they were really just conflicted of how to play around the Giannis. So I'm expecting Passion to sit in the soul lane. Like maybe have Jangaru rotate in the soul lane, really start disrupting the King Arthur from getting this early start. And when you're having a Guan Yu early game for Delnyy, I think that's very necessary to get him out of that early slump, because Guan Yu is not going to win the lane early whatsoever. He's going to get bullied out quite heavily. You're expecting the Guan Yu to just out-transition the Arthur in team fights in the late game.
Right.
So it's up to Jangaru to allow that to happen.
Guan Yu, a character that can kind of limit what King Arthur does in those team fights by way of the heals. Raijin and Sol, though, interesting selection. Sol kind of showing the hand, One Night at LAN, likely to put this into the duo lane to match the Cernunnos clear. And the Artio, a nigh-perfect pick versus King Arthur. Arthur struggles really hard against cripples. Now, he can basic attack his way out of them, but when the cripple field follows you, well, you can't do that anymore.
You can't use your spin to wins. You can't also use your uppercut dash either. So 3 of your 6 non-ultimate abilities are going to be taken away from you during that duration.
Smart plays there from Passion. So they go ahead and select the Bear Mom. Second round of bans coming out here. No Raven, says Passion, looking for their secondary ban as well. Likely to continue to look towards that jungle, I think. And it will be a Sun Wukong, not convinced that King Arthur will wind up in the solo, or convinced that Sun Wukong can play 2 characters.
That's true.
One Night at LAN, looking more towards the mid.
It would be interesting to see if Arthur would be in the support role, just to be hyper-aggressive.
Okay.
And then put Sun Wukong in the soul lane, so maybe that was the reasoning Passion elected to do that. But honestly, if I'm seeing Arthur, I'm expecting him in the soul lane. We haven't really seen him in a non-soul lane role, primarily. But any soul lane god that's played can always flex between the jungle and the support, including Arthur. Yeah,
Arthur can play jungle, but he's just better off, quote-unquote, in the soul lane because of the access to the Glad Shield and how just powerful that can be. Guan, the jungler of choice here for Passion, as One Night at LAN look towards their support with the Athena and one more choice.
I like the global pressure, because if Arthur's going to be aggressive, and if he gets ganked for whatever reason, then the Athena ultimate is going to come through. And now with this third frontliner of the Chaac, there's a little bit of a question mark as to where this Chaac is going alongside the Arthur.
I would expect the Chaac to wind up in the jungle, but Passion banning the SWK is kind of making me think that there's something we don't know about the Arthur jungle. So I'll be thinking about that. Chaac, by the way, Guan Yu, Kuang, Neith. Again, it looks like One Night at LAN had a card that we didn't know. Chaac, one of the few characters with anti-attack speed. So you're seeing Cernunnos, Kuang, and Neith all affected by this Chaac ring.
This is Passion going to be ganking soul lane. The Neith globals with the Kuang ganks for the executes with Guan Yu's damage. I'm expecting a little bit of trouble for Pitbull if he's unprepared.
Well, we'll see if it's all what it's chalked up to be. Casters, help.
Yeah, let's get it over here to us, please. Thank goodness. It's going to be Finch and Taco as we move into game number 3 between One Night at LAN and Passion. Crimson on the Neith in the middle lane, but that's not what we're interested in. We want to talk about this Chaac in the jungle for JPrro. He played that Mercury, had a great game last game, so why not switch over to Chaac, who does...
damage.
Okay, some other things.
Damage.
Okay, a third thing maybe?
Damage.
Right. So let's see if that's going to be quite
Slow.
enough.
But mostly damage.
It's mostly damage. He got some self-sustain, of course, the silence as well. But it can oftentimes feel like maybe you won't have as much control as a lot of other these junglers can bring nowadays. Susano, Mercury all come to mind when you think about it. But this does set up for them to put that King Arthur into the solo lane, Taco, who can be such a contested pick right now as Hamster is trying to contest the purple buff. That's where Vulcan and Keegan went right away at the start of this game. Now Fatal Ghost coming to join the fray on the Cernunnos and entirely bullied out our One Night at LAN and forced to leave.
Now, I don't think Passion are aiming to let this one go nearly as long as that last one with how aggressive they're already trying to poise, but Forger, Vulcan, and Keegan successfully defend their purple buff. This could be trouble now for IAmTheHamster, but fortunately enough for him, that minion wave has arrived just in time. And here's the thing, Finch, is that when you just finish playing an hour-long match, sometimes your brain is still in that hour-long match mode. You still feel like you're playing the same guy that you were in the last game, and it could be kind of rough for both teams, I think, just bouncing back from that initial reset into a brand new game.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's not just resetting, you know, that you're super tanky, that you do a ton of damage, and you can be aggressive, but even resetting from losing an hour-long, what feels like a coin flip, basically, right? Because when it goes that long, really it just comes down to who kind of makes the next mistake, or who can capitalize the best. And in that game, it was One Night at LAN, so can Passion sort of regroup mentally in that way, too?
One thing I do like to see, though, Jangaru straying away from the Hera jungle, but not necessarily the magical side of things. This double hunter composition has so much setup for, I think, the dual lane. Fatal Ghost can definitely play much more aggressively into Keegan here, knowing that he has that World Weaver to rely on.
And there's some sneaky Artio damage in there to worry about too, not to mention the very not sneaky, right in your face out Kuang damage. So One Night at LAN still gonna have to think carefully about how they want to itemize into this composition. You heard Tom talking a little bit about some of the anti-attack speed from Chaac there to try and help out, but is that going to be enough when Jangaru can often just kind of blow you up in 1 or 2 shots?
Well, it really just all depends on whether or not JPrro is going to be able to get the damage off from this Chaac jungle.
That's what he does. One kind of, you know, knock up and then a bunch of damage. So if all that damage is good.
It is a silence. Around objective play, I think that there's definitely an opportunity for JPrro to really stand out for the mid to early game objective play, but based off what we've seen, it's an early one.
Soul Reaper here, there's a Sunder as well on this Athena, and that should be enough. Hamster, though, gets a 3-man stun, but there it is, Chaac jungle, getting first blood, Taco. What were we saying earlier? We're all wrong.
I told you what he brought to the table, Finch. I don't see anywhere where I am wrong here. He has damage. And what did I just witness with my very own 2 eyes? But damage.
That's what it was. It's about all he brought to that engagement. But hey, you didn't need anything else because you got an Athena on your team. That's plenty of control. I think the Sunder was there too to just make sure that there was no way for Hamster to get out. A heavy rotation over, but it does set up for One Night at LAN to get the lead. But can Jangaru answer back? Looks like he's not even particularly interested. They just want to clear and let this King Arthur farm.
I will say, though, a bit surprised to not see IAmTheHamster and Delnyy with the good old-fashioned swapperoo here, because I feel like Artio might have been a much more favorable matchup for this King Arthur. Not that Delnyy is struggling by any means over here in the solo lane, but that is a pretty tough counter matchup for an Arthur to deal with, considering that you cut off or you limit his abilities.
How important is it that you're not stacking the same damage over there? Because it was a magical jungler, and maybe you don't want to also have a guardian over there and make it easier for Pitbull to itemize. Because you're, in every other way, I think you're right, that you would rather have the Artio there. So for me, I can only think that maybe you don't want Guan Yu support, or you just don't want double magic damage dealers over there.
I definitely think you can't really afford to do Guan Yu support.
Maybe that's all it is.
I think that might be all it is. It's just, as nice as it would have been of a matchup for Delnyy, and I'm certain that this is probably something they talked about, the more I think about it, the less I would ever want to see Guan Yu in the support role. Just because Forger Vulcan has way too many easy methods of canceling it out with the taunt alone, but Keegan also can stay at a relatively safe distance while looking to poke out the wave, and Guan Yu support tends to profit a little bit more so when you have to get closer for that secure or for that buff clear.
Delnyy is up onto the horse and will land the stun, and Jangaru's right here. I don't know if he recognized that he didn't have much damage. They even had the Whirlweaver, so even though Forger Vulcan had the Defender of Olympus, it's not gonna matter. Jangaru gets the first kill for Passion to even things up 1-1.
Forger didn't even get a chance to fully ult all the way over, so the damage mitigation was still being applied, if I'm not mistaken, but even through all of that, Worldweaver plus an AO execute is just all you really need.
And that's going to continue to be a problem. And you highlighted that when we first came into the match, right? That Crimson can just essentially pick someone. And once they do, Jangaru will have a much easier time getting into range to complete that kill. And even if they do have beads, that extra damage can sometimes put them into the execute threshold that Jangaru needs. This pick composition early on is going to be tough to stop.
And so far, so good for both of these teams, though. I don't really see any distinct advantages for either side. I mean, for the most part, I think that these are two very evenly matched teams.
Composition-wise and skill-wise, we learned from last game, right, where One Night of LAN were able to hold quite even with Passion. Can these compositions work as well this time around? Passion clearly have a game plan playing around this out Kuang. Now the question becomes, how well can One Night at LAN slow it down? Can Chaac match with what Jangaru is going to be doing on this out Kuang, sneaking around like a dragon?
Like a dragon? Oh, because he's only a dragon when he ults. Fair enough.
Oh, I guess so. I guess that's true.
He could be like a snake, slithering through the grass.
And then he turns into a gigantic dragon. Now, I wonder how much that's going to hurt Jangaru, because you're supposed to be using the Admiral skin, right, so that you can turn to the SS Swanger, but he won't be doing that, as they want another gank onto this King Arthur. They have the Worldweaver ultimate coming through, Delnyy committing his ultimate as well, and now he's in execute threshold. What can you do against that? It's
such a deep investment, too. It almost doesn't seem like it should actually work out, but Jangaru actually just going to go completely away. He's just, no, he's offered, they've both offered Delnyy as a sacrifice to the One Night at LAN team, because that blue buff was just way more tempting.
And he gets it in time and is able to get away as well by going into that water illusion. I wonder if he's going to come up and catch Soul Reaper, who's not acting like there used to be an Ao Kuang in the jungle, but he had a ward down, Sentry even. So if Jangaru had come to that, we'd have certainly known. But they commit a lot there just for a 1v or 1-for-1 in the end. They do get blue buff, Taco, but I mean, is that still worth it?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
I don't think you can ever go wrong with killing a raid boss from the map.
Killing a King Arthur, right?
Kill him while you can, because as soon as this man finishes his build, good lord.
Yeah.
I sincerely wish the best for you on Passion.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for them, as Vulcan is able to find the taunt. No Sunder there, as Crimson is using the beads early on to get away from that control. But looks like Passion's not done with this fight just yet. Forger Vulcan does get hit by the Wild Hunt, but Passion don't have any more lockdown available. I think he might be able to make it out of here. Chaac contributing. You saw the axe.
It was there. Zoning X. Zoning damage X.
Right, you wouldn't want to walk past that.
No, because if you did,
coming, you know?
You would have been hit by the damage.
That's for sure. 2-0-0 though, for all I'm talking. He's got the Delnyy boot, I'm assuming. Going to be continuing this build here in just a moment.
Have you ever just been chilling late at night in your room?
Okay.
And you look up and you see a spider.
Yes.
And then you look around to grab something to kill it, and then you look back to where you saw the spider, and,
it's gone.
And it wasn't. Yeah, it's just gone now.
Oh no, that's scary. It's also scary to beat Pitbull, apparently, as Jangaru has set up a tent, and he will be camping this lane. He's made his intentions clear. No King Arthurs allowed.
I was gonna say the spider's Jangaru.
and then Jangaru spidered as soon as you said it, so that's exactly what's happening. Where you thought you maybe had a moment to breathe, and turned out you didn't.
He's killing him off cooldown, and that's exactly the way that Passion should continue to play this composition. Not necessarily, you know, focusing Pitbull out the entire time, but just the method that they're going about to find these picks. JPrro, though, trying to play defense around this blue buff. Big silence, decent damage, but this buff is theirs.
Yes, that blue buff is good point. Blue buff has been secured. And, I mean, you know, who else could have done that?
Definitely not King Arthur.
No, he's been
Because
getting
he's
bullied
dead.
this game. He's been getting cyber-bullied, so he needed a little bit of backup as Crimson's got to run away.
It sounds like
what hunting him down.
What kills a blue buff, Finch?
Damage? I don't know.
Say that first word again.
Damn?
No, the full.
Oh, damage. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, and that's what Chaac does.
That's what Chaac does.
I'm right
It's
there with you. Okay, that took me a minute.
learning blocks.
That's right.
With yours truly.
We had to build it up together, so good point. So far throughout this early game, Passion has a slight lead. That's largely, I would say, in these jungles. If they're going to spend this much attention on the solo lane, Taco, what do you want to see the rest of One Night at LAN do? Is it just buff invades to try and capitalize on the fact there's so much of attention on the right side?
Well, here's the problem for One Night at LAN is that normally I think that would be the appropriate response. Unfortunately, however, for One Night at LAN, they can't really afford to do so because the dual lane from Passion is Artio Cernunnos. How the hell do you ever get a chance to invade against such an aggressive dual lane?
They're ahead, too.
And it's just so easy, I think, for Passion to safely clear out the farm from their side of the map that One Night at LAN's only real response statement that they have here is to look for a counter rotation. We've already seen some rotations from JPrro and Vulcan. They've just been too little too late.
He's got to run away. I don't know if he knows that Jangaru is on the warpath yet again. Is the World Weaver going to be a part of it this time, though, or not, remains the question. The slow is there. They've got him low and stunned, and he's in execute threshold. Let's go ahead and use it. Another kill, but at least this time Soul Reaper has found a kill elsewhere. They've taken down Hamster.
They've taken that Hamster, but it's JPrro who's got to be careful now. This AO just looking to full commit. Look at that health chunk. The silence, though. Not going to be able to connect here.
Unfortunate.
Circle just not big enough. If it was a bigger circle, I'm telling you, Finch, that damage would have been there.
Yes, all true. As another successful kill into this King Arthur, 0-4-0. A rough start to this game so far for Pitbull. And really, look at all these wards on his side of the map. What more can Pitbull do to not get Whirlweavered, executed, Guan Yu'd every time those abilities are off cooldown?
No, Pitbull breathes and he dies.
That's what he's done so far.
Been the general theme of this game so far. Now at level 10, 2 levels behind Delnyy. This is where it's really going to start to hurt, and that trickle-down effect might come into play now for Passion sprinkling over One Night at LAN.
Red buff looks like at least secured on the side of One Night at LAN. I'll have a chance to see if they go to grab it. Meanwhile, Keeg might be in some trouble. He does get rooted, but nothing more comes from it. Soul Reaper, though, falls very low in the middle lane to Crimson. Just barely gets away with that Thunder Crash, so he's able to make it out of there.
Oh, you say he's able to make it out of there, but how out of there is he truly?
Wow.
Just cutting straight through the middle. JPrro couldn't block that World Weaver in time. All he needed was vision.
And then he could have possibly known how to get in the way, but unfortunately, he doesn't have it. And now Passion, they want the Gold Fury, and this is the Gold Fury you know and love, the old school one that's just going to give you money, and that's exactly what this squad needs. Forger Vulcan in some trouble. He's been hunted down by a dragon who takes him up into the sky. JPrro can only watch as unfortunately his support goes down, the Gold Fury goes down, and Passion now take the lead in this game. Unfortunately.
Swing and a miss. He was there. It's the thought that counts. He was going to try and apply
some damage. I'm with you. But he couldn't get it.
People are probably starting to wonder. It's only one day.
That's all it is. Yeah, we got a full week. Our first full week of Smite action in a long time, actually, Taco. That's going to be coming everyone's way. So
can I get a quick schedule breakdown, if you don't mind?
You know, I'd be more than happy to. Monday, that's SCL. That's what we're doing today. Tomorrow, SML, the minor league, going all day long, starting at 11 a.m. Wednesday, Esports Weekly, where we break everything down. So make sure you're back here at 4 o'clock. And then Thursday, Fridays, that's SPL at 11.
And where can I catch all of that Smite action, Finch?
So I would open up a web browser and type in mixer.com/SmiteGame. Open up 2 web browsers.
I actually like the idea here from production here. 2 web browsers. That way you can type it in twice. One only for chat, full screen.
Okay.
The other only for gameplay.
I like that idea because there's a lot of good stuff in chat I'm sure you're not going to want to miss as Delnyy is going aggressive onto Pitbull. World Weaver coming as well. We've seen this movie before. Pitbull's at full health. Surely he can make it out this time, right? And not get executed. And in fact, he does. Looks like Jangaru didn't have the execute that time, so they would have had to done it the old-fashioned way. As Keegan takes damage, you can't be losing pressure on both sides of the map. And he falls back.
Pitbull's alive, but for how long, really?
It's TKO. Oh no, he's actually still here in lane. He didn't even teleport back in, so he stuck around.
But it still makes you wonder, how long will he truly survive? That was the 5th attempt at his life in almost 15 minutes. So if you think about it, this man's been ganked like 5 times every 3 minutes.
That's exactly what it's been, and if you come at the king, you best not miss. And for the most part, Passion have not. Though Soul Reaper and Vulcan are all rotating over. This dual lane of Passion, I gotta hightail it out of here, and they certainly will. There's 4 members on the left side of the map. And they've gone right into the Taiko drums to try and lock down Hamster. These are all damaged, though. He hasn't really tried to pull him back in. Finally, there's the taunt to try and lock down this bear. And if there's one thing Chaac can do, it's slow you down and drop some damage. That's exactly what he did. JPrro now on a killing spree, 3-0-1 on this jungle Chaac. It will, however, cost them the tier 1 tower in right, and maybe even the life of Pitbull, as Jangaru does have the ultimate this time.
Have you ever teleported as a Soul laner and then just instantly regretted your existence? Because I feel like that's Pitbull right now in this moment. But I'm honestly kind of surprised that he was still willing to commit to the teleport against a composition that has been 3-man ulting / diving him the entire game so far.
It is a bit surprising, isn't it?
He knew that Jangaru and Delnyy were there. He can see them hitting the tower. And he still went to try and play defense, despite the fact that his team just underwent an engagement on the opposite side of the map. So there's not a chance that anybody from One Night at LAN would have been there to help play defense. And Delnyy gets to further extend his lead to that of level 16. And sure, while it might have been a nice pick to have for One Night at LAN over in duo, they're not really getting much more outside of that. They didn't get any buffs. They didn't get a Gold Fury. Everything's been stripped off the map that's of relevance. And the only real boost here is to JPrro's KDA.
And so far, what has that done for them? Not very much. You saw the charts a minute ago. They're down 10,000 experience and 7,000 or so gold, so it's a tremendous lead in favor of Passion right now for the 17-minute mark. And it's been largely based off this pressure on King Arthur, yes, but they've won the duo side of the map as well with very little help. I mean, look at Forger Vulcan. Has he just been rotating too much? How is he 3 levels down experience? It almost feels as if he just hasn't been able to farm.
He actually has been rotating a lot more than what you normally would have expected here. Supernova are going to get forced out of Keegan as 3 members from Passion look to bring down this T1 tower. The grouping starting to take place here. Jangaru wrapped up and ready to rumble. Down goes Keegan, down goes Forger Vulcan, and they're still moving forward.
At least 2 members down, and he's going to dive right into the tower. He wants Soul Reaper. Thunder Crash is actually exactly where he wanted him to go. Force him into the Taiko drums. There's the fear. There's the silence. Only Chaac Jungle can do it. As it ends up, Jangaru gets to the tower aggro. How'd that happen? He just barely makes it out without end up falling. But that's Chaac Jungle value for you, Taco.
I think it might have been the water illusion. Popped it
and did
on
damage.
The escape. Did some damage. Took some tower shots, but Delnyy there playing backup. I mean, it's a Guan Yu. That's what the team sustain is for. And that was also just a small preview, I feel, for what we can expect to see throughout the duration of this match now. Because last game, I feel like we saw Passion with starting to resemble a slight lead, but they didn't really do much with it outside of like chase kills. Now they're just grouping. They're not taking any chances. They want to bring this one home.
That's what it feels like to me. Passion want to close this game out. And they've done so by sitting on top of Pitbull and daring him to put out another chart topper, daring him to find another way to make an impact here in this game as the Oni Fear, the next target for Passion. One Night at LAN are nearby. One Night at LAN have a say in how this one goes. They drop down the cripple field to stun. Oni Fury still hasn't dropped yet. Delnyy finally secures it there on the back end. And now Passion continue to push forward with a Fury to their name.
World Weaver going to connect onto Soul Reaper, and the patience from Delnyy, more than enough. Jangaru looking to just continue giving chase. Keegan's going to fall like so many other teammates of his beforehand. Jangaru with a double kill, and this AO has been a part of nearly every single kill. 90% kill participation, essentially.
Well, now I'm 8-0-3 and I'm here, says the Kuang, who's very comfortable at this point into the game, and One Night at LAN don't have enough answers to slow down this dragon. They can force the tier 2 tower in mid down through brute force, and One Night at LAN running out of correct responses. In fact, Jangaru deletes Pitbull, still Very little magic defense there. I think the Emerald Talisman's all he's got, aside from little bits on Warrior's Blessing. That's a 19.5-minute mid-Phoenix down in favor of Passion.
And for this one, Finch, I just got to take it all the way back to the picks and ban stage. I feel like One Night at LAN got baited into this King Arthur pick so heavily. Passion, this is something that was designed to kill King Arthur, designed to kill any solo laner that might find their, or might be misfortunate enough to play solo lane against this type of composition, because there's just so much disgusting amounts of control. I don't think anybody would have expected Jangaru to be rocking the AO.
I think the only reason that this works, though, is because One Night at LAN don't have pressure anywhere in any lane matchup, right?
Correct.
They've got this Chaac in the jungle and the 2 in the dual lane that can't match up to the Artio and to the Cernunnos. So they can sit on the solo lane all game long and still, with a numbers disadvantage, win everywhere else.
I think that Passion, or excuse me, One Night at LAN just kind of had high hopes for this Chaac Raijin combination to deal so much damage that Passion wouldn't really have a way to respond, but they didn't look for any early game invades, and I think that would have been the appropriate response to all of the pressure that was being prioritized towards Pitbull.
Right.
Look for those pressure invades early on. I mean, you already know that King Arthur is toast by the time you're channeling that Athena ultimate, because he's probably only screaming for it when he's at 40% health. JPrro, I think, is just going to be a victim like so many of his comrades before him.
As he ends up unlucky, really tough is what I would say. But you're right, maybe if they could have found some early invades, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, Crimson is definitely, as the Neith, going to be able to get online a little bit sooner than this Crimson. That's why you pick Hunters in the middle lane, because they are able to often get pressure. They trade so much better with their autos than a mage would, and when you're an ability-based one like this, you can match their abilities. So it was just tough. They didn't have a ton of options, as Forger Vulcan still level 10. No way he can stick around. And it's Delnyy undeterred, sitting on top of Soul Reaver. That's 4 members forced off the right side Phoenix already.
You definitely notice it most as support when your entire team is grossly far behind. Pitbull trying to give somewhat of a fight, but there's just no fight to be had. It's just absolute destruction here from Passion, and Keegan gonna finally find a chance to respond, but it's still just not looking to be enough here, Finch.
It's not. That was a nice supernova to at least punish Crimson and give him his first death of the game. He'll have to sit down for the 40 minutes. In goes JPrro. He's gonna drop down the Storm Call. That does bring them both low. But they also both walk away, and that's it. Okay. Well, now some trouble for Keegan. Aegis only keeps him alive for a moment. Jangaru now immortal. 11 unanswered, Tuck.
Oh no, look at Delnyy. He's just charging down Soul Reaper. Tallow Assault. About to be off cooldown, but great taunt from Forger Vulcan, I think. Helps to save the life of the Raijin for a moment, but it's all about the Titan health right now, Finch.
It's at half HP. Fatal Ghost coming in, and no one's checking the Cernunnos. He's got free reign to drop the damage, and game number 3 goes down way faster. 22-42. That's how Passion likes.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of position that I think Passion were aiming to find themselves in games 2 and 1, but a really hard-fought set between both of these teams. I think that some of the fatigue definitely started to come into play there.
Maybe so.
I think that's why we saw the lack of response from One Night at LAN, because when you've just finished playing an hour-long game and then you just have this team that just, honestly, they were just smorking into them at that point.
That's what
Passion
it was.
were just running down Pitbull, and I feel so bad for that King Arthur, but man, that was just a crazy kill comp.
Yeah, their cards were face up on the table, right? And the cards were, we're going to go kill this King Arthur, and there just was not an answer from One Night at LAN. Passion, though, grabbed that one 2-1. How'd you all see it on the desk? Give us your breakdown.
Thanks a lot, Finch. Thanks a lot, Taco. Here we are, ready and waiting. Tom and Toli breaking it down.
This was just all about focusing out King Arthur. Easy, plain, and simple.
There's
no more breaking down necessary.
Pretty much.
Go home.
Pretty much. No, I do want to bring something up. So shout out to Ryan Jarman, since I'm just stealing this off your timeline. But he actually said earlier, he tweeted, he was like, so he was talking to Delnyy before, and Delnyy was like, yo, we got this strategy. We're going to bait the other team into picking King Arthur because we know how to deal with it. And then Jarman said, well, they didn't really have a strategy. It's just Delnyy just begged for ganks the entire game. Well, I don't care how you slice it. You figured it out. King Arthur goes down. Passion take the set.
This almost seemed like an old school Elevate console strategy where they would go Neith, Kuang, Morrigan for the double Neith ultimates or double Kuangs to be able to get in there. And yeah, Jangaru had a field day, finishing the game at 11 kills, 0 deaths, 5 assists. Neith in the mid lane, played by Crimson, went 2 kills, 1 death, 9 assists. Like, his only death was towards the end of the game when it didn't even really matter. And unfortunately for Pitbull, that first pick, Arthur, went 0-7.
And that was, and you know, Pitbull, sure, you can say Pitbull could have played better, but this had so much less to do about Pitbull playing poorly and so much more to do with a specific strategy drafted to isolate the individual pick. Neith Kuang has been around since Kuang has been around, and then you bring that to the next level and you just isolate the Arthur and you cut him down. I mean, it's a classic, it's a song as old as time, and just fantastic job. And great execution, no pun intended.
Very easy because he rushed the Gladiator shield, so he didn't have mobility necessary to start off the survival process. He was 0-4 by 13 minutes into the game. He was struggling. Even though One Night at LAN had a great gank in the dueling at 3 minutes, they rotated over for JPrro. They rotated also for Soul Reaper. It just wasn't enough because of how much focus fire was in that Soul lane out of Passion.
It was out of control. It really was. Passion was just coming, I mean, right out of the gate immediately. First blood, sure, goes to JPrro or JPrro, my mistake. But that was it. After that, everything after the fact was just time and time again, dead Arthur, dead Arthur, dead Arthur. And when I love seeing a strategy planned and then come to fruition. So that's how it's done. Great job, Passion. Take this one. We'll take a look at the standings and see where everybody in North America is doing just that. They're standing up for Hype Unit up at the top, who find themselves 1 game above Passion.
These teams were very even going into Game 3 with how long that Game 2 was, but honestly, after seeing that last game, number 3, this deserves to be split a little bit, where Passion gets their second victory thus far heading into week number 4. They came in with a strategy where they gave up Arthur on purpose. Yep. Kudos to them executing it perfectly.
One thing I do want to shout out, though, is One Night at LAN down there on the bottom. And jokes aside, JPrro looked fantastic. This team looks good. And that's the thing, is that all 4 teams, NA, Xbox, this is a competitive region. Yeah. So I'm really excited. 57-minute game. I mean, what else do you want, right?
I mean, that's what you need to see from tomorrow's side of things as well when we're transitioning outside of the console.
Oh, I like that. Like that. Yeah. We're going to Minor League, baby. And don't forget, we've got Wednesday Esports Weekly. And then you know what we're doing this Thursday.
What are we doing this Thursday, Thomas?
The Smite Pro League, baby. That's what we're doing. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Smite Minor League. We'll catch you then. Peace and much love to you.